reality is I know this decision will affect a lot of us, a lot of you sitting in this room tonight, and those that weren't able to make the meeting. And it's going to be a journey, as this has been a financial journey for many of us over the past decade and a half. Lawsuits continue, with the report that came out from the Department of Justice, where even though this administration has continued to spend more on medical costs than any other administration, we still can't meet Department of Justice requirements. This county will never be able to afford to meet those standards. And for me, that's disheartening, because I think, as Ms. Coldarn said, if administration could be ran differently, we probably could keep that facility open to an extent. But again, we have a 14-year trend of where we've not had success at being able to run that facility financially. And, both for public safety, employee safety, inmate safety, you name it. But, with that other report that just came out a few weeks ago about the mental health and prescription care and et cetera, where we're still not even meeting the mark, even though we put in additional revenue. And to me, that's disheartening. And so the reality is, we will continue to have a long row to hoe when it comes to making this a reality for the county, but I support the resolution that will be read to you here shortly.
Thank you very much, Magistrate.
I said I was going to keep it brief, but I have a whole lot more to say, but I'll be quiet.
You have never keeping anything brief. I mean, but that's fine, John. You have a right to say what you got to say. Well, do I have a motion?
You need to read it first in
Read it
full.
first. Thanks, John. Okay, I'll read the resolution.
A resolution of the Grant County Fiscal Court directing that Judge Executive Stephen Wood proceed in taking those steps necessary to effectuate the closure of the Grant County Detention Center based on the notification of Jailer Chris Hankins of his express intent to reduce the population of the detention center by an estimated 69 inmates, as expressed in an email to the Fiscal Court, thus reducing anticipated revenue by an amount in excess of $790,000. Whereas the Grant County Fiscal Court approved a budget predicated on a revenue estimate agreed to after a caucus meeting with the jailer and members of his senior staff, and whereas the Grant County Fiscal Court approved a budget which provides funding for all current positions at the Grant County Detention Center, including a 1.5% cost of living adjustment, and whereas the Grant County Fiscal Court approved a budget that provided full funding for health care and food costs as agreed to in contractual negotiations in which the jailer or members of his senior staff were engaged, and whereas the Grant County Fiscal Court approved a budget that restored full funding for mental health services after the proposal by the jailer reduced said funding by $11,500, and whereas the Grant County jailer, in his letter explaining his personal determination to adjust the detention center population, citing safety, referenced a letter from the Kentucky Department of Corrections recommending a staff of 48, quote, in a perfect situation, but did not acknowledge a subsequent communication from the corrections official in which he, the corrections official, advised the state-mandated staffing for facility with an approved population cap equivalent to that of Grant County's is in reality 3 non-communication personnel at all times. The jailer publicly discounted an organizational chart submitted with the staffing recommendation, which provided for a command staff of 1 chief deputy and 2 captains, advising the author of the report was not familiar with his facility. The jailer also chose to acknowledge the report was a recommendation based on a 7.5-hour shift, a management scheduling format that has never been implemented or recommended by the current administration. Whereas the Grant County Fiscal Court has determined that the personal actions of the jailer to reduce the population at the detention center will result in significant and potentially irreparable financial harm to the county. Now therefore be it resolved, the Grant County Fiscal Court does hereby authorize and direct Judge Executive Stephen Wood, in consultation with the county attorney, to proceed in taking those preliminary steps necessary to effectuate the closure of the Grant County Detention Center based on the notification of Jailer Chris Hankins of his express intent to reduce the population of the center by an estimated 69 inmates, as expressed in the email to the Fiscal Court, thus reducing anticipated revenue by an amount in excess of $790,000. The Grant County Fiscal Court does hereby direct the following actions and others determined necessary to complete the process to be taken with all due haste. 1, communicating to the county treasurer and deputy judge executive the responsibility to prepare for first reading on July 18, 2016, a budget amendment and court order transfer reducing the budget authorization for the Grant County Detention Center based on the anticipated closure of the facility within 90 to 120 days. Sending a letter to the Kentucky Department of Corrections requesting the transfer of all state inmates from the Grant County Detention Center within 90 days. Sending a letter to the Chief Executive Officer of each county within a 55-mile radius of the Grant County Detention Center seeking assistance in housing those individuals charged with crime in Grant County based on a negotiated per diem. Sending a letter immediately notifying the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, the Grant County Fiscal Court, and Judge Executive have reversed their approval and wishes to terminate the contract for roadside cleanup. Sending a letter to multiple commercial industrial appraisers with experience in land development seeking proposals to determine the value of the 38-acre parcel of land upon which the detention center and Old Road Department now rests. Respectfully requesting the cooperation of the district and circuit judges in expanding the home incarceration program within the Sheriff's Office to further reduce the number of county inmates for which the county would be responsible for paying a per diem. Sending letters to the vendors of food and healthcare services notifying them of the anticipated phasing out of the corrections program in Grant County. Hosting a stakeholders meeting to include the county sheriff, representatives of the administrative office of the courts, the county attorney, the Commonwealth attorney, and others determined essential in the final assessment of the options remaining to the county. Notifying all employees of the Grant County Detention Center of the court's decision in writing and assuring them the fiscal court will work with them through the Grant County Career Service Center to seek alternative employment opportunities.
One potential typo, which I'm not sure if it is or not, the parcel of land, I was thinking it was around 28 acres, not 38. May have been a typo.
Confirm that with the PBA.
You already did?
No, I will confirm the
Thank you. I have
exact
the-
acreage with the PBA.
Okay, I
I
have
was told
the,
38 doesn't make sure.
okay,
I thought 38.
okay, and I may be wrong. I've got the PBA plus, I could forward it to you and I could check here shortly, but I just want to make note that that could be a little less. As far as the typo potential.
Okay, Madison.
Based on the fiscal state of Grant County and, the taxpayers of the county, I make a motion on resolution 16-10.
I will second.
Scott, call the roll.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Ms. Coldiron?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Judge Wood?
Yes. Motion carries. I have a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
As it relates to over a page and a half and what I know will continue to grow in next steps, I noticed that we'll have a stakeholders meeting, but in the meantime, will you be assigning, like any of us, certain things to do to help with the heavy lifting on the days ahead? On certain tasks, or think about it and let us know?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Okay. What's your name? Get you, man.